Good evening, everybody. Welcome into the Money Stop. Um, it is a very, very late Saturday night here in our refreshed studio. Thank you to Laner. Um, and also, I'm joined alongside my co host, Laner. Um, good evening, I guess. Good late evening. How you doing?
Doing pretty well. I just got out of bed and got a text that we were doing a podcast tonight, so I had to scramble over here in my PJs.
Yeah, that seems to be what I was kind of going for too. Um, I mean, you know, I think the occasion is appropriate for the timing of the day. I think it's very appropriate for us. So we'll just roll with it. I mean, I didn't really have time to get all snazzed up anyway. So um, first and foremost, congratulations on your 500 win last night. Huge, huge win. Um, tell us more about the finish and I guess what this means for your career.
Yeah, I still don't really know what to think about the finish. It was like I still think it was extremely close. Um, so I mean, I don't know. I obviously I popped up as the winner on the screen, so I guess I won. But I mean, I think Craigus was equally as deserving, and I really think if we had an exact number that we pretty much tied. It was really, really close. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a really big win for my career. It's the one race that I hadn't won yet. I guess I haven't won the 600, but the 500 was really one that I always wanted to win. So I feel very satisfied with my career if I was to retire tomorrow.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about this last night after the race, but I mean, that finish, you know, maybe one of the most controversial finishes of history in this league. And Obviously there's been a lot of controversial finishes between the duels and qualifying and trying to, set the fastest lap during qualifying. At some points during this league's history, even qualifying's been a little controversial. But with the race finish, I think this was one of the most controversial finishes that we've seen. And I want to try and get the finish played up again on the screen. Um, just to kind of go through the last lap. Um, I'll have it up in a minute. I don't know. I think Aiden uploaded his view of it, I believe, um, onto the channel. I think
Yeah, he did.
so. That's what I'm just trying to find. But I mean, we were also talking about this during the team meeting last night. But in season one, there was not a very good finish, let's just say. And between Land and I, Laner was involved in that finish. When Land and I got together, but it was also a very controversial finish. Land, went on to win that race, but had things been a split second different, Laner would have definitely won the race. Um, So, just something to keep
All
in
right, this
mind,
is
I
the
think.
ROCAR
Oh
500
God, here goes
recording.
Aiden
Let
talking, yapping. Um, give me a second just to scroll down to the finish here. Um, but yeah, I mean, overall, like the race was really, really good last night. I really enjoyed the racing. I think the entire time was just phenomenal racing. I think and I think we had more racing than crashes. Um, I believe when there was crashing, there was big wrecks. So I think overall, I really enjoyed the race, um, and it made me miss the old game just a little bit. I can't lie. With these cars, it made me miss the old game a little bit, but I'm glad that we are where we are now, and it is what it is. But I think that last night put on a good show for everybody that was watching, and definitely I think all of the drivers enjoyed themselves. So,
Yeah, I guess I kind of have a different opinion than you. I know you haven't raced the new cars as much, so your opinion will probably change once you get in the car a little bit. But
yeah.
yesterday made me really glad that we're not on the old game. Like, I think the old game is really good for super speedways, and I'm actually kind of glad that we're able to go to that game for super speedways.
Mhm.
Just because I really think like that is what the old cars are good at. Like that's what they're meant to do. Um, and this is going to get off topic if I get into this situation, so I can just kind of leave it at this. But those cars aren't meant to be at other types of tracks, so putting them on the super speedways is really good. Um, and I think it really did put on a good show. I agree with you on that. I think there were times yesterday where a second lane was forming. It was really hard to keep it formed in the turns. Like you would see a second lane form on the backstretch, and there were a few times a driver in the second lane could actually get cleared of the bottom lane. But whenever you got into the turns, it was just kind of squirrely and it was hard to stay together. But I think it was definitely a lot racier than what it has been in the past. Because normally it's just like one groove, like there's no chance at all you're going to go to the second lane. I definitely think that there were some moves being made on the second lane as well.
Yeah, and I think too that one thing that like really stuck out to me was how strong the side draft was.
Yes.
It was very, very strong. Um, to the point where like it slowed down the entire field if like the leader got side drafted. Um, and that was something that I was like, okay, like the side draft is very, very strong. So, everybody has to be careful. I do like the fact that it created a second lane and it enticed people to create more of a second lane. Um, but it was very strong, I think, for those cars. Um, and for the drivers too. It like after like you side draft and the cars slow down a bit, like the cars got a bit squirrely. So it was kind of hard to keep control over the car. Um I know at least for what I experienced it was that way, but um I think that the side draft was just it was very, very strong.
Yeah, and kind of going back over the finish. I know you just showed the replay. We at first me Craigus and Icy got stuck initially and I was kind of clear because I was below you. You were on the top and I got inside of you and I was about to take the position. I felt pretty good at that point. I thought I was going to win it pretty cleanly because I didn't really think you stood much of a chance on the outside. So
Yeah.
I kind of thought I was just about to cruise to the win. And then Icy and Craigus get stuck, and then somehow I get stuck with them, and we are just going along. Like we cannot do anything. I'm on the brakes. I'm trying to get unstuck from them. I'm sure Craigus is also on the brakes trying to get unstuck from us. And I honestly, I thought Lego was just going to blow by us. Like I don't know how we maintained speed and kept going that fast. Like I think maybe it's because Lego was just by himself, but I think if there was like a line formed, like if Lego had a pusher, or like if, for example, if you and Lego were pushing together, I think you guys would have blew right by us and won the
Yeah.
race pretty easily. I think it was just kind of a perfect combination of events. I think IC was not lifting at all, which kind of kept us stuck because I think if IC would have lifted, maybe me and Craigus would have got unstuck. But I mean, it's the last lap of the ROCAR 500. Nobody's gonna lift, so
Exactly.
I don't really fault anybody for what happened. Obviously, I don't fault them because I won, but I mean, it was just kind of wild how it turned out. Because literally, like, there was nothing me and Craigus could do. We were just along for the ride. I was trying to steer and get loose, and like it was just we were along for the ride. That's really all we could do. It was
Y-
pretty crazy.
Yeah, and I think another thing too was that finish. Were you guys like all stuck together? Like
Yes, like
nobody could lift, like even Icy couldn't lift out of that?
I mean, I think Icy, because me and Icy talked in DMs about this, and I don't want to speak for him because maybe I'm remembering this wrong. But I think Icy said that he did not break at all. Like he
Mm,
said he was thinking about breaking to let me and Craigus loose, but he felt like if he did that, that he wouldn't have stood a chance.
mm,
I think what Icy was hoping was that he was just going to keep going, and me and Craigus were going to kind of spin off of him, and then he would have been clear to win.
mm.
Um, which I mean, it's a good mindset, I guess, because it is possible that could have happened. Because initially you were ahead of us, I think, and then you got spun out of it,
Yeah,
if I'm
yeah,
remembering right. So, I mean, I don't think that train of thought is wrong. I mean, it could have been possible that me and Craigus kind of spun out, and then Icy would have been clear for the win. And I see Craigus said in the chat that he was holding S and D the whole time, and I was as well. I think me and Craigus were just stuck because I think Icy was not lifting, so Icy was kind of in between us, sandwiching me and Craigus together. So as long as Icy wasn't lifting, me and Craigus were just gonna stay stuck together.
yeah. And I think as long, like you said, as long as he was not lifting, you guys were not going to be able to get out of that sandwich. Um, I just think like it created a messy finish. So I wish that it had been done differently. Not saying that I fault Icy for what he did. I respect him for going for it in the end. I just think it created such a controversial finish that could have been so avoided. Um, but again, it is what it is, and that's kind of the product that we've seen over the last several years with this game and with this car.
Yeah,
Um,
and I'll say it's really a shame. Like the finish is so controversial, and it's like not even a fault of me and Craigus. Like
yeah,
if it was like a straight up, like Milwaukee, like where Craigus and Lamb were beating and banging, and it was a really close finish, but it's like me and Craigus were literally just stuck together, and there is nothing we could do about it. Like
yeah.
we were just at the mercy of the scoreboard. Like I was just crossing, waiting to see who it says won the race, because I was like holy shit, me and Kragus are like neck and neck. Like literally had no idea who the game was gonna say won the race.
Yeah.
Because I would not have been surprised at all if the game said Kragus won. Because like I said, I literally think it was pretty much dead even, and it really wasn't. I can see why it was really tough to call the finish. Um, but I also do understand the logic of like, okay, if the finish is that close, like what do you go off of? If you don't have any concrete evidence, you just have to go off of what the game says.
Right.
um so I don't know, it's really a messy situation, and I hate that it had to happen that way. But I do think it is a finish that will live on in history for the 500.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure it will. Um, Before we move into the next segment, I've taken a moment to kind of expand our camera view to show you guys the new and improved studio. We have also changed locations on the track, so we are now down on the actual track by the start finish line. You may have seen when we started streaming, but we have some updated pictures now in here and some new die casts. Thank you to some of our drivers who have gracefully shipped some die casts in very quickly, some expedited shipping that we had, but it looks really really good. Laner put this all together basically just before we hopped on tonight, so thank you, thank you, thank you. And it looks great. So this is our new and improved look going forward. Um, and we will make some new memories with the new and improved look as well. So looking forward to it. But yeah, just wanted to kind of take a moment and appreciate the new look of the room now. I don't know if you wanted to jump in, say anything about it later, but you don't have to.
No, I mean I'm glad that you enjoy it, and I hope everybody else likes it. I didn't really do too much, but it's nice to spice up the studio a little bit, and obviously it's nice to get closer to the track. I think the backdrop looks pretty cool now. Good thing we did not set up yesterday, otherwise we would have cars flying into our studio. But good thing is we will not have a race at Talladega for a while, so I think we should
Yeah.
be good.
Yeah. Eventually those rubber marks out on the track will they'll dissipate, they'll go away, but for now, that's just covered in your marks. So, um,
Pause.
what's that?
I just said pause.
I didn't even think about it. Guys, I was just telling him before we went on the air, it's been such a long day, so I feel like I'm floating on rocks right now, like floating above rocks, and I'm just waiting for the moment um I fall out and start hitting the rocks left and right and just start making mistakes. So, uh um anywho, yeah, Laner's marks all over the track. So, um, his marks are black, not white, but they are all over the track. So, uh, Jesus. We can talk about though, for just a quick second. We can talk about what drivers stood out. Um, and I know, at least for me, I'm trying so hard not to burst out laughing. I'm um I know, at least for me, I had a couple, but mainly I wanted to kind of focus in on Aiden and Benji for a second, because I think that um I want to commend them. I think they did a great job on being consistent and staying up front during the entire race. Um, there was times where Aiden got taken out or Benji got taken out, and they worked their way back up to the front very quickly. So just they stood out to me as somebody who had a great car and just did not have the opportunity to capitalize, unfortunately. But you know, like Aiden said, that's just sometimes the way these things go, unfortunately. But I think that they both had a great showing. And I honestly think that they're gonna have a great season ahead. Um, I wish that Aiden would have been a little cooler, in terms of his temper during the race, but I think that nonetheless he was very fast all race long. And that'll be something I'm sure he works on. So yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would say Aiden was probably overall the fastest driver yesterday, in terms of being up front and leading laps. And I really do feel bad that we got into contact on the last lap. I really don't exactly know how that happened. It definitely was not intentional, but I do feel really bad that I took the shot away from him to win the race. He was definitely deserving of it. So um, yeah, just uh, props to that whole team. I think they really ran a good race. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I think if we had to talk about maybe like one or two drivers that disappointed me, I think I was more so disappointed from the performance of Kragus, um, and Icy mostly. Um, just because I know that like this is one of the tracks that Icy tends to perform better at, especially like in the older cars. Um, I think I was just more disappointed in Kragus because I thought that, he would have better luck in terms of not getting taken out the entire race. Um, but in like every scenario where he got taken out, he was always losing the pack, or he would come to pit road and, lose the draft. And at one point he was like 3 laps down, 4 laps down, something like that. But like, he was 2 laps down according to his penalty. But he had a very up and down race. And I just think that um I think he could have had a lot better of a night. Um, he's a great super speedway racer too, so it's like it's just unlike him to be performing like that. But um, you know, it's only the first race of the season, so he's still got plenty of time, to improve at Atlanta and for super speedways in the future. But definitely did not see the performance there from him last night.
Uh, Yeah, I mean, like, I can see where you're coming from with that, but at the same time, if he would have won the race, we wouldn't even be, you know. So he was within like, yeah, however close the finish was of kind of changing that whole narrative. And it is unfortunate for him. But I would kind of say if I didn't win the race, you could say the same thing about me because I didn't get any stage points yesterday. I was in the back most of the race, but I somehow won the race. So I kind of think super speedway racing is just so it's just so hit or miss. Like I don't know that you can really take too much from it.
Yeah.
I do agree though. I don't think he had the best race, but I wouldn't I wouldn't hit the panic button at all.
Oh,
Like
no,
I still
not
think
certainly not.
yeah. So like yeah, I mean like I do agree. I think I don't know. It seemed like he was just kind of having fun with it, trying to form a second lane and stuff during the race. So
Mhm.
obviously, if you're trying to form a second lane and nobody goes with you, you're kind of just gonna go to the back. So,
Yeah. And, like,
but yeah,
hey,
that's
like,
kind of how I.
because I am keeping an eye on the chat, and, like, I know that he did win a stage. I know, um, he was there at the end. But I think that the part that just sticks out to me is how up and down of a race he had. He didn't lead laps consistently like Aiden and Benji did, or
Oh yeah,
or I did at parts of the race. Um, he would find his way to the front, and then something would happen. So I don't think that, like, again, I'm not saying that he had a terrible night. I'm just saying that I think
right.
I expected a little more speed out of him and a little more consistency with running at the front, and I didn't see that. So, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised with whenever he blew the tires. I thought I that's kind of I pitted whenever pit road was closed because I didn't even want to take the risk. I already fell back to last place and I was just like I don't even want to risk it. So I think he was that's might be the stage he won. I'm not sure. I don't know. But yeah, it he definitely had to climb his way back, and then pretty sure him and Wendigo were the two cars out of the draft, and then we had a really late caution that kind of jumbled the thing back together.
Yeah. But I mean, like you said, he has plenty of time, and there's no time to hit the panic button yet. Or there's no cause for hitting the panic button yet. So, um, anybody else you had your eye on during the race? I mean, up or down?
Um, Not really, honestly. Yeah, nobody else really stood out. I mean, like I kind of agree with what you said. I think you, Land, and the two Chevy drivers were probably the fastest cars of the day. Other than that, I feel like everybody just kind of took turns leading. There wasn't really a dominant car. I didn't even lead a lap until the very last lap. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like it was just kind of a up and down day. It was a it was a good mix of drivers though. Like there wasn't really one dominant driver. I guess earlier I kind of said Aiden was, but they really a lot of different drivers spent time taking the lead and spending time up front. So there was a good mix of drivers.
Yeah, for sure. I have to agree. Um, all right. Well, we can move on from that. Because now I want to talk about um a little bit of a more entertaining part of the race, which was the amount of wrecks that we saw. There were a lot of crazy wrecks throughout the race. I particularly want to go to a specific wreck that I'm trying to find right now of me absolutely plowing the wall. Um, but I'm trying to find trying to find when specifically that was during Aiden's recording. So, but I would say just overall, looking at the wrecks from above, um, I think the wrecks were pretty intense. I I don't even know like how to describe them, to be honest, because they were at all at high speeds. So it was pretty crazy the entire race. It felt like on edge the entire time. And you know, you kind of had to like lock in your seat and just make sure that you weren't going along for the ride. But my car lifted up in the air at one point during the race, so you know there was that. I
I think you and
mean,
Land both did, right?
yeah, I think landed at some point too. Um, there was a lot
And
of
I think
wrecks out of the trioval for some
yes.
odd reason. Um, some odd reason there was a lot of wrecks, but yeah, I mean, just all in all, there was a lot of crashes, I think, and um, pretty crazy, pretty crazy.
I'm pretty sure Parker died at one point in hitting the pit road wall. So yeah, we had a lot of. There were just so many crazy wrecks. I feel like this was. It was kind of weird though because like it wasn't like I don't know. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but I don't feel like it was a super caution heavy race. Like there were definitely points where we were going green for a good amount of time.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like in the past where we're having a caution like every other lap.
Hmm.
Because there have definitely been 500s where we're not even going 2 laps. Um, but during stage 3, we almost went green all the way because I know Wendigo and Craigus they got really lucky with that late caution because I really thought um, they weren't going to get the caution. We were so close to lapping either Wendigo or Craigus. I don't know which one it was, but the pack was about to catch them whenever we got that caution late in the race because I saw them up there and that pack was coming quick. Uh, but yeah, I mean we also had a pretty long. I think we went 15 laps to start the race without a caution. So we definitely had some green flag racing, but I think the wrecks that we did have were like really crazy, memorable wrecks.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I want to particularly play one wreck that I think was pretty crazy. And I think that was all the way back in the beginning. It was the first crash of the day. It was on lap 14. Um, and it involved you, Laner. And I don't think it involved me, but like I was going through it. Um, here, let me see if I can get the race back on the screen. There we go. So coming out of turn 4, and I'll just fast forward a bit. Coming through the trioval, um, I think Laner's car or somebody's car went up in the air. Laner's car went up in the air a bit by the start finish line, and there was a couple cars involved in that crash. So pretty crazy. Um, but I don't know. It just that's Talladega at the same time. Um, with the high speeds and stuff, it's just very intense the entire time. Especially towards the end, nobody's going to lift. So, it doesn't help the scenario. But um, yeah,
Yeah, I think
wrecks
that
were
was
pretty
the first
crazy.
caution of the day. Speaking of that, because yeah, it was lap 15, so we went 15 laps at the start of the race. Um, we had quite a few good green flag runs, so I kind of going back to it, I just thought the racing was like it was a really good overall race. There weren't too many cautions to where it was just annoying, but there were enough to kind of keep things exciting. So I think this was probably the best 500 in a while, um,
And we had green
just from
flag
a
stops,
racing
like
standpoint. Yeah,
actual green flag stops.
so I really enjoyed it, even though the finish was kind of wild and wacky. Uh, I still think it was a really good racing product.
Yeah, I agree. Um, Land actually put a clip in the chat from lap number 2 because I witnessed this, but I completely forgot it happened. And it didn't look like it was on the stream because Aiden was out front or on the recording.
Oh
Um,
my.
yeah, Land had a pretty nasty crash coming out of turn 4 too. He was up in the wall, and then the wall uh, ate him um, and stopped his
Yeah, and
car completely.
Before time showed up, there were definitely maybe some wrecks in stage 1 that should have been called, but it was kinda hard because we didn't really have somebody, looking from a bird's eye perspective. But, I think once time got there, it got a lot better with the caution side of things. But,
Yeah.
I mean, like, personally, I think that probably should have been a caution with Land dying in the wall.
Yeah, I think that definitely should have been a caution, but the good thing is he was able to catch up,
Right.
because I think I was running in the back with him, um, and so I was keeping an eye on him and trying to give him the draft to catch up, and I think that that helped him. So, at least he was able to stay in the draft. But if not, I definitely would have been um, begging for a caution for him because I felt really bad. Um, this chat is wild tonight. It's after nine
Yeah.
o'clock though. It's after 9, so I mean I can't really blame them.
I just
But
love that we have that as in GIF form.
yeah,
Like, that is gonna be used so much.
oh god, I love this freaking league.
And
This
the
league,
fact that was happening during the national anthem is crazy.
I
That
know.
is just that is just wild.
Well, I'm at the end with Icy, and I took a screenshot of it because I was like, "This is wild." Like during the flyover,
But dude, I was
this is
trying to get,
happening
like,
too.
media pictures of the flyover, and all you see is that, and I'm like, "I can't post that."
Oh god,
Oh, yeah, it is definitely a very memorable race, both off and on the track.
you really can't have anything nice here. You really can't. As soon as you think you're about to have something nice going, a moment like this happens.
It'll go down in ROCAR 500 history.
Yeah, I guess so. Um, Not in a good way, but yeah,
Oh my goodness.
yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about what teams maybe performed the best last night. Obviously, Fords had a big advantage, just in numbers, compared to other manufacturers. Um, but would you say that there was a particular team that performed the best last night, or um, like I don't even know if like you could say Ford was like the manufacturer to beat, just because I feel like the Chevys were out front a lot of the time last night. Like,
I agree.
there was always one Chevy up front, and then like maybe like two or three Fords behind them, then another Chevy, a Toyota, and then a couple Fords. Um, but I mean, like, what was your take on like what we saw at least from the teams and stuff last night? Did you think the Fords had a big advantage?
I mean, I think the Fords had a big advantage, but I don't think the Fords capitalized on that advantage. Um, and I think me, IC, and Lego were kind of like the weak link at the Ford camp, because we were kind of in the back most of the time. It seems like every time me and IC would try to push together, we would just spin each other out, which happened several times. I think you and Land, I think that's all the Fords, right? Unless I'm missing someone, I don't know. I think you and Land, definitely performed the best out of the Fords. But with me, IC, and Lego kind of being towards the back most of the time, it didn't really help. I mean, towards the end of the race, I definitely noticed the advantage from the forwards because it just seemed like we kind of had a lot of forwards towards the front of the race. And it felt like if we did want to make a move, that we probably could make a move, which we didn't end up making a move at all because the whole finish was just absolutely insane. But I would definitely say that Checkered Flag Motorsports was the best team. And they had the least amount of cars too, right? No, I guess GFM only has two. But I think they really had a game plan going in and they performed perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely did, I think. And they executed very well, I think, on like strategy. I think like the final stop, like we were doing green flag stops, and that was the stop where um the Fords came in, and I stayed out with Benji and um, I forget who else was. It was only 3 cars, but we stayed out and did an extra lap, and Benji actually ended up out front, like as the leader. So I think like that team and the organization overall had really good strategy for moments like that during the race. So I mean, I was really impressed with their performance. So
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that it was Benji and Aiden were P1 and P2. You were P3 at that point, I believe. And then all the Fords just kind of sucked up to your guys' back bumpers. And at that point, it kind of felt like the Chevys were on an island because they had 6 Fords behind them. Um, and yeah, it definitely they definitely play the strategy right. And whenever you are outnumbered like that, that's exactly what you need to do. And I think they executed perfect. They just didn't get the win at the end of the race.
yeah, and that win will come. I think they have plenty of time. I think. Um,
Oh yeah, and I mean the Fords having a number advantage isn't really going to be a factor at any other race except for super speedways, um, because once we get to these other tracks, I mean, like yeah, I guess manufacturers matter a little bit, but for the most part, every team is kind of like their own. It's like
yeah,
their own little team, like the 22 team or the 21 team or the 44 team. Like we're not really worried about each other, like you know what I mean?
yeah,
We're more worried about our own team than the manufacturer as a whole.
right, right. Um, I mean, I don't know. Um, I think in terms of like, yeah, SSR, I think we're worried about our own performance and our own team. Um, I think Ford kind of like as a whole on like super speedways and stuff need to work together more to make sure that like they perform as a manufacturer better. Just in the case that there is manufacturer switches over the course of the season, or if there's intended changes for like going into effect the next season, I think that whoever's the dominant manufacturer should definitely like take into consideration the factors of like what could happen, um, and work together a little more. But
Yeah, I completely agree. I think yeah, like I wouldn't say Ford was like the worst. I would say Ford and Toyota yesterday were kind of on the same level, like in terms of their performance, and then Chevy was just kind of in a league of their own.
yeah, I'm like debating on whether I should display the Discord chat um, on the live stream right now, but
I
I
say
don't
go for it.
I
It
don't
might get
think I'm
crazy though.
I don't think I'm going to, just for the fact that it might get crazy and people might start putting
Yeah.
that damn gif. People
Shoot,
might
man,
start
it's after
putting
9 o'clock. Who cares?
Okay, you guys get 2 minutes up on the screen. Um, let me see. I'm so gonna regret this. Okay, I'm minimizing though. Oh wait, I don't even think you can read it at that size. Okay, I don't know if that's any better. It might be like pixelated, but it's only because it's
I think it's
smaller.
good enough.
Yeah. Anywho, um, let's move into the points now. So the points are, I'm gonna have to move it because it's gonna be different spot on the screen. Um, so the points are as is right now. Um, I can't even take this seriously right now. Um, So I'll go through the points, just driver for driver right now. Elaner is atop the points at 55 points with 1 win. Kragus with 46 points. And then Wendigo is third with 38 points. Lego is 1 point behind him in fourth with 37 points. Benji 1 point behind him at 36. Myself in sixth with 35. Icy is tied with me at 35. Aiden has 33 and seventh. I think,
I think he's an eighth. I think those two numbers are
yeah,
switched.
yeah. And then Land is ninth and Parker is 10th, both with 32 points. So I wouldn't say like we could talk about the points this week just because, like, obviously it's week one. I don't think there's much to talk about with the points, but just something to keep an eye on. I think, there's already a little bit of a gap between first and 10th. So, I think that gap is just something to keep an eye on for now. Obviously we love talking about the points on this podcast, and the points are always very important. Um, and especially too with the chase being implemented this season too, I think it's going to be very important for um, you know keeping an eye on the points as we get closer to the chase starting. So, um, Laner, you are the points leader. After week one, how do you feel?
Well, I will say one thing to note about the points, like now that we kind of changed the format a little bit, going into the chase, this just shows you how important winning is because I did not score a single stage point at all yesterday. And I think Craigus scored stage points in both stages, if I'm remembering right. He definitely won a stage. But like that just shows you like even if you do well in the stages like it's going to be hard to outpoint the person who wins, and that's definitely how the format was designed, because with the chase style format you want wins to be the most important thing, but that's just something to note. Like somebody who doesn't score any stage points at all but wins the race can outscore even people who perform really well in the stages. So there's a very huge emphasis on winning races in this format.
Yeah, I totally have to agree. Um, and even if you did win a stage or you got stage points, you would have been even further, I think, too. So,
And yeah, I mean, you can't really read too much into it because it is only race one. But I will say, like, for like someone like Land or Parker, those are the only full time people I see that are really far back.
yeah,
I mean, being 23 points back, like, you're not really super worried about it because you still have 11 more races to gain that back. But I mean, it definitely does put you in a worse spot than you would like to be. I mean, you don't ever really want to be 23 points back.
yeah,
Um, and obviously, that's only 23 points back from the leader, not from the cut line. So, really, they're only like, what, like 3 or 4 points back from the cut line. So, I don't really think that they have too much to worry about because you're not really racing for the points lead. You're really just racing to be in the top six. So, if
yeah,
you think about it that way, they're not that far out at all. So, it's really nobody's separated themselves too much.
yeah. I have to agree. Um, there will be plenty of time to figure out the points too. You know, I've I've adjusted the screen so you guys can see the full look at points after week one. But there will be plenty of time to duke it out in these points. And I hope like all 10 of these drivers kind of stick around every week, or make the effort to stick around every week, just because I think that um this is a great list of the 10 drivers that we have. This is a great list, but I think the points will be a lot closer than we think, if all 10 of these drivers stay consistent in racing every week. If we see somebody drop off the deep end or just stops coming, um, to the races, but if they stop, you know, there will be a much larger points gap, I think. So,
Yeah, and I think missing races in this format, you definitely pay for it a lot more than in the previous format. Since we don't really have win and you're in anymore, you kind of have to be consistent with your points if you want to stay in the top six.
yeah. um, I don't know. Anything else we want to talk about with the points? I feel like we can kind of move on.
Yeah, I mean, it's only week 1, so I kind of feel
Yeah,
like we covered it pretty well.
yeah. Let's move on. Um, alrighty. Well, moving on to the next topic here. We are headed to Las Vegas this weekend. Well, technically not midnight yet, so next weekend. Um, but heading to Las Vegas starts the West Coast swing for a number of races out there. Heading to Las Vegas first, and then we will be headed to um, what's it called?
Auto Club.
Auto Club, and then Phoenix, and then Coda on the way back to the East Coast, and then a whole bunch of races from there on the East Coast and some out west. But um, these next few weeks are going to be all West Coast tracks and should be very interesting. Um, is there anything you are looking forward to just right off the bat in terms of the race next weekend?
I mean, we just had a race at Vegas not that long ago in the preseason, um, and I think this time around it's going to be very different. Just kind of internally at SSR, we were talking about lap times earlier. I'm not going to say lap times, so if anybody's trying to get that information, I'm sorry. Um, but Lego was telling me the laps he was running, and the pace has definitely picked up from the first time we visited the track. So, and I kind of expected that. Since these cars are a little bit harder to learn, I think any time we go to a track twice, I think the second time around, the whole field is going to kind of learn the track a little bit better, and it should show with the racing. So I think the race we see this weekend will be a little bit different than what we saw in the preseason. I think we might see new people be fast, and the racing overall will probably be a little bit closer than what we saw in the preseason.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think people are going to turn up the heat with the race this weekend just because um, I think a lot of people um, were not really taking it seriously during the preseason. More so just testing out the cars to kind of figure out and gauge um, where their vehicles were going to be for the actual season. So I think at least as far as like, you know, how the race will go, um, I think it's going to be a lot more intense this weekend. And I think, we're definitely going to see, I think, some new players come into the ring and be competitive.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think people were definitely being patient in the preseason
Hmm.
with each other. Like we were kind of cutting each other breaks when needed, and maybe not being as intense. But I
Hmm.
think now that we're in the regular season, that it's really all bets off, and you're really not going to be nearly as patient as you would in an exhibition race. So I think the
Right.
intensity is definitely going to ramp up this weekend. But it should be a really good show. I mean, I thought Vegas was a good race in the preseason, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think it should be fun. Let's just dive through some of the basics for next weekend. So next weekend's race will be held on Friday. It's going to be 75 laps. Stages are 20, 20, and 35. Practice will kick off at 7 p.m. Qualifying to follow at 7:15, and the race will kick off at 7:30. So, um, you know, I think it's going to be, the stages look pretty straightforward. The only difference from the preseason finale was that this race is now 10 laps longer. The last stage is 10 laps longer, I believe. So that's just something, to take note of. I think, when teams are planning out their strategy, definitely take that into consideration, I think. that final stage being a little longer. Um, but besides that, I think that I think we'll see a good race overall. Like I said, will be intense, but I think we'll see a good race.
Yeah, at the preseason race, there were definitely multiple different ways you could get around the track. You had some drivers taking the top, some taking the bottom. So I think there are different ways you can approach the track, and I definitely think we will see drivers taking a lot of different lines on the track. So it'll be really interesting to see.
Yeah, it will. Um, Alrighty. Do we want to rate the Talladega race now? I guess now a good time.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Alrighty. Well, we're going to move into our rate the race segment of the episode, and we are rating the 500 from last night. I would say, like, I haven't had a couple of days to think about it, so my score may be a little, I guess, higher than I would normally score it because I fucking hate this game. Like, to be honest, just sometimes it really pisses me off. But last night was like a an exception, I think. I think um, I guess I'll go first. I guess that's what I'm kind of inserting, but I would say I would give the race probably an 80%. Just because I think that, overall, I think it played out like an actual race. Yes, we had some crashes. Yes, we had some stupid moments, but I think overall it was a really really good race. I really enjoyed it, and I think that the racing was um, very competitive, very very competitive, and we didn't really see a lot of the BS attached with the racing last night. A lot of people were just out there to race, and I really admired that. So I'm gonna give it an 80, and I'm gonna stick with that score. So
Yeah, I think I'll go with an 80 as well. I think if the finish wasn't so controversial and kind of weird, I think I would give it closer to an 85. But I think with the finish just being so weird and goofy, and it just taking a while to kind of decide who the winner was, I think it definitely lowered the score a little bit for me. Um, and I know that's kind of crazy to say because I won the race, but I don't really like races ending that way. I like it more whenever we just have a straight up winner and we can just, not worry so much about how the race ended and just kind of focus on the actual race itself.
right.
So to me, that kind of brought the score down a little bit, but overall, I thought it was a really good race. So an 80 is still a really good score, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think 80 is a solid score for a solid race. So I'm glad we're in agreement about that. Alrighty. Well, with that out of the way, let's move to our race picks for Vegas. Who you got?
So I think I don't want to pick him because he's gonna think I'm cursing him. He didn't like it when I picked him. I think I picked him last week. Uh, okay, maybe okay. You know what? I'm gonna pick him anyways because this is what I think. Uh, I think Kragus is gonna win, and I say this because he finished second during the preseason race. He was really competitive. He was really fast everywhere in the preseason. Um, and me and him were battling it out at the end of the Las Vegas race in the preseason. But I think he's going to be really motivated next week, especially after how the race ended yesterday. And with him already being fast at Vegas, I think he will get the deal done.
All right. I am going to go with Lego. Um, I really, really liked his performance in the preseason, and I was really impressed. And I honestly really think that he figured out the cars. earlier than a lot of other drivers, which leads me to believe that, he's kind of already adapted to the way that the cars drive. And I think like Vegas is going to be the real first test for these cars in an actual race. No preseason attached. But I think that when you put him in this car, I think we've seen kind of in the preseason what he can do. So I feel confident um, in picking Lego. So that's what I'm gonna go with. He's gonna get his first win of the season at Vegas.
I think it's a good pick. Yeah, I expect Lego to run up front most of the preseason. Just or sorry, most of the season, just based off what we saw in the preseason. Um, but we'll just have to see because I know Lego has never really like dominated a points race or anything. So I really want to see he how he adapts to like a points race, if that makes sense.
Mm.
But I mean, he has definitely shown a lot of speed, so I'm not going to be surprised if he goes out and wins. But I think I'm just interested to see how Lego does like in the actual season. But I think it's a good pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. I mean, this early in the season, I feel like it's anybody's game right now. So, but I'm
Yeah,
gonna I'm gonna trust my gut from just watching the preseason. So I'm gonna go with Lego. But
yeah, and I kind of think like with these cars, it'll be more similar to real life, where we'll see drivers kind of have up and down. Like Lego and Craigus showed a lot of speed in the preseason, so they might come out of the gates really hot, and they might both win a few races here early on. But I think maybe after that happens during the middle of the season, you might see some other drivers come out and find speed. I think it'll be a lot more balanced, similar to real life, where drivers get really hot and they win a lot of races, and then they get cold. New
mhm.
drivers get hot. Like I think it'll be a lot more up and down than in the old game where you really had no idea who was going to win any week.
Yeah, I think you're definitely gonna have to be on your shit um, come Vegas. Just with practicing and making sure that you can hit your marks. But I think our picks are more than capable of doing that the entire race. So I'm looking forward to it.
It's exciting. It's the first points race in the new cars.
Yep, it should be very exciting. Um, I'm very much looking forward to it. Hopefully, I can hop in the car, but we'll have to see how that goes. Um, Anything else you would like to discuss?
I don't think so. Just like I said, I'm looking forward to getting out to Vegas. It's been a long off season, and I know everybody's excited to get to a points race in the new cars. Been a long wait, so I'm really excited to see how these cars perform at all these different tracks.
Yeah, I have to agree. I'm very much looking forward to it. Um, So make sure you guys tune in next weekend. And good luck to all the drivers. We'll have to see who comes out on top and ends up in victory lane. Maybe Laner will go back to back. Who knows? We'll have to find out. Make sure you guys tune in though next Friday when the race from Vegas kicks off. Um, I think that's gonna do it from us though. I don't know if you wanted to talk about anything else, but
Nope.
um, yeah, that's gonna do it from us. Everybody have a great night. Have a great rest of your guys' weekend, and we will talk to you guys. Um, I guess not next week, but we'll talk to you guys after Vegas. So we'll talk to you guys soon, though. Have a great night and take care, everybody.
See you guys.